has Damien Chazelle done it again with Babylon. In my opinion, it's the best movie of 2022. Hey y'all, today we are reviewing Babylon, the fourth film from writer-director Damien Chazelle. Many of you probably know this, but in case you are new, Damien Chazelle is one of my favorite writer-director wonders. I have loved pretty much every single one of this man's movies, with La La Land being my absolute favorite movie of all time. So I definitely had a feeling going into Babylon that I was going to come out with a positive reaction. Babylon, to me, can best be described as a love letter to Hollywood from someone who doesn't feel like they can either be a part of it or has chosen to remove themselves from modern day Hollywood, we'll say. This is partially a personal thing. I think I have a lot of complicated emotions towards Hollywood as not only a physical place, but of course, everything that Hollywood represents, the movie making, the inspiration, the creativity, but also on the other hand, the fame chasing and the single-mindedness of making money and making things just for the sake of continuing this town and this legacy of this place that is known for its hand in the movie making process. It's all of that beauty and inspiration of Hollywood mixed with the chew you up and spit you out attitude that I think that Hollywood is notorious for. So Babylon, of course, is the name of the film, but what that represents is the old city of Babylon, which was one of the seven wonders of the ancient world, I believe. But however, Babylon was destroyed pretty famously, and the ruins of Babylon can be found, I think, south of present-day Baghdad. And so that parallel is supposed to be drawn of Hollywood being the type of place that was of huge fame, riches, wealth, importance in the 40s and 50s. The film traverses a big chunk of time. The film starts in the 1920s in black and white, no sync sound cinema, and takes you all the way up until basically the advent of color and widescreen in film, which is about 1965, 1967. That's a 40-year jump of time. And of course, you don't see every single second of that, but that big chunk of story time that the film is trying to cover definitely lends itself to the 3-hour runtime of the film, which we'll get to a little bit more later. But what's beautiful about it, if you are a film fan or someone who has studied film or is in any way knowledgeable about the history of film, it's super fun to see. It's kind of a beautiful piece of historical fiction, in my opinion. What I'm about to say can kind of be explained by the two trailers that Paramount released this Monday for the film, which detailed the naughty and nice nature of the film, of course, to get in the Christmas spirit, but also to show you that there is one side of this film that is very glitz and glam and Hollywood and how people nowadays talk about the golden age of cinema. But there's also that naughty side of looking at Hollywood as this town that does not care about individuals, looking at the movie making process prior to a lot of safety concerns that have now been addressed in Hollywood, as well as just the dark underbelly of Hollywood that I think a lot of people today will blame on a modern day Hollywood, but they're things that have always been a part of this city that is both highs and lows. It is truly the best of times and the worst of times, to quote Charles Dickens. At the same time, Hollywood in this film is very well, in my opinion, presented as a paradoxical place, not only for the industry that it hosts, but for the city itself. So that's a lot of the kind of general vibe of the film. But what is the film actually about? The film follows several different people, including 2 Hollywood outsiders and 1 Hollywood prestige insider. The 1 Hollywood prestige insider being Brad Pitt's character. Of the 2 outsiders, you have Diego Calva and you have Margot Robbie. And the 2 of them start to kind of grow in notoriety and fame after meeting at this huge house party. It's very Gatsby-esque. You kind of see the way that their 2 paths intertwine with Brad Pitt's path, just kind of the ebbs and flows of their lives. In a lot of ways, when I think back on this film, and I hate to say this because this is usually something that turns me off of a movie, it does have a little bit of that vibe of a nothing happens, or you're just watching things take place and sort of deriving meaning from the overall picture of it. For example, a lot of this film, not only because it took place in Hollywood, but sort of reminded me of Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, the 2019 Quentin Tarantino film. Here's where I'll give probably my one critique of the film, which in a lot of ways I don't feel like this is a bad thing, because it's supposed to be representing how kind of just hedonistic these people in this story are. But this film is oftentimes aggressively crude to show you this underside, this dark underside of Hollywood. Not only, again, the industry and the bad things that happen within the industry of people trying to move up the ladder and stuff, but also just the things taking place in the physical realm of Los Angeles itself during this time period. It definitely touches on a lot of dark points in Hollywood's history, which I appreciate that the film doesn't shy away from that. But even more so than just that meaningful, deep, like less than savory stuff, there's a lot of just like sexual innuendos and references and imagery. And like, I can't even just say that it's just like, oh, it's there and you know it's happening, but it's not. There's a lot of parts of this film that if you have a conscience about you and like a sense of morality, you will probably feel slightly uncomfortable. I don't know what the final rating for this film is. I'm going to put it on screen in editing, but when I saw the film, and as of about a week prior to filming this video, it did not have a rating, which I thought was very interesting because I'm sure they're trying to debate an NC-17 rating. I feel like this movie definitely had more reasoning to be NC-17 than I think Blonde did. Again, two different realms of like, one is coming out in theaters and one is coming out on streaming, and that's why that was handled. You can go watch that review if you kind of want to get my opinion on that. But I definitely think this film has an argument to be made that it should be NC-17 or something like that, because this is not for children, and I would not personally feel comfortable watching this with my family. There's a sense of awkwardness you feel watching something with like your grandmother, you know, that otherwise in a different setting might be fine. But it's the, you know, I'm just giving that warning. Don't know that this is suitable for like 17-year-old children who could otherwise get into an R-rated film, you know? So, you know, take that what you will. But I say that, and it hurts me to say that, because this film is so extraordinarily beautiful, and like I said, captures someone like me's complicated feelings towards Hollywood. Movies and cinema and Hollywood and the art of making them and watching them and analyzing them and feeling moved by them has defined a huge portion of my life. This whole YouTube channel is dedicated to that. So for me watching this film, I can't help but take away how understood I felt by this film, by the fact of there are things that even I, as somebody who loves movies and who admires the process of making movies, I see a lot of problems with the way that movies are made, or I see a lot of issues within the industry, and it captures all of those complicated and nuanced feelings that an individual has towards this line of work that like inspires them, but also can suck them dry of life and passion for the industry and can just turn them off completely. And I thought that was the process that was very beautiful, because that's something that Damien Chazelle sort of, in a much more lighter, happier, fluffy way, touched on with La La Land. Speaking of La La Land and Damien Chazelle's past, probably one of my favorite elements of the film that is not a spoiler, but something to look out for if you have not seen the film yet. Someone in the Crowd, which is a song from the beginning of La La Land about going to a party and not feeling seen and feeling like you're just another person there hoping for your big shot to make it big, to become a star. The instrumental part of that song is woven into the score of this movie, and in many times is sort of played, again, not to its full extent, always instrumental and not lyrical. And I think this is a beautiful thing that Damien Chazelle and Justin Horowitz, who has been the composer on all 4 of his movies, they were roommates in college, wonderful, such a cool story, their friendship and professional relationship, seeing him get to weave that in, because Someone in the Crowd, the themes of that song are very much what is played out and what is the central plot and premise for this film, of someone wanting to make it and showing up at a party and where that takes them and how that changes their life. That was like the coolest part of the movie for me, because I kept hearing it and I was like, I know that. Let me know in the comments what your thoughts on Babylon are, or if you plan to see the film. If you enjoyed this review, be sure to watch any of my other movie or TV show reviews or entertainment related content on this channel, and consider hitting the subscribe button. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you have an absolutely amazing day or night whenever you're getting to watch this, and I'll see you in my very next video. Bye, y'all.